What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Modern Fatherhood Podcast. With me today is Legacy Dad or Keaton joining me today. What's up, man?
Hey, how's it going?
It's going really good. So it was really awesome because we started talking on TikTok,
Yeah.
and I believed it was through a live, wasn't it? The
Yeah,
first
I
time?
think I saw your live and I just commented on it at one point. I asked you, I think, a
Yeah,
question about because you were talking about like girl dad stuff at one point.
yeah,
And I asked you, as a girl dad with a daughter, what do you value as a trait in a guy? Like if I was a boy dad trying to raise a boy to be a potential candidate to marry a daughter, what should I be
yeah,
working on?
yeah. I do remember that because I was just like, "Damn, that's a deep question."
Well, and
Yeah,
part of it for me is because like the way I see the couples interact today and like things like that, like I know that there's ways to avoid certain things in your kid's life earlier on, and so if you can go, it's like anything. If you go into it with a plan, like an actual plan, and go, hey, this is a really important quality that, for my son to meet some girl's father one day and be like, hey, I would like to marry your daughter, or I would like to date your daughter, even. Like, I want to know what those qualities are so I can start instilling those into him.
yeah.
So, other than like the obvious honesty, integrity, and all of those kinds of things.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I remember that because I was just like, I actually stopped and I was like, I have to think about that before I answer that one. Yeah, because everyone else, it was just like random questions,
Like,
and
what's your favorite
then you
color?
you
What's your
dropped
favorite
that.
anime?
Yeah, yeah, and then you asked me that, and I was just like, shit.
You're like, oh wow, dang, okay.
Someone asked a serious question. It doesn't happen very often, but when it does, so we actually, I was on TikTok live, and I had a 19-year-old. No, not a 19-year-old. It was I had a 19-year-old, but the one I'm talking about, he was 16, still in high school, and he had a
Wow.
kid, and he came in the TikTok live, and he started asking for advice, and he came in at a good time because there was like six moms and probably like five or six, seven dads in there, and we
Dude,
were all
that's
talking,
perfect.
and then he started talking to us, and we all just slowly got more and more angry at this kid.
Oh, no.
Because normally, it's just like, what do I do about learning how to take care of the baby, things like that. The normal, well, not normal, but young, really young dad try to figure out what he's doing.
Like they sent this thing home from the hospital to me. What do I do?
Yeah,
Like those
yeah.
questions.
So it was one of those situations where they weren't together and everything like that, and he wasn't motivated to do everything he could to be a dad,
Oh,
and I guess he came in there thinking that he'd be able to tell us all these things and we would just be okay with it.
like justify his side.
Yeah, and he at one point he was just like, I just have other priorities that have more of my focus right now, or that are more important to me. And like the chat just stopped moving, like completely. And I was just like dumbfounded. I'm pretty sure my mouth dropped open. And then the chat just started going ding 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 ding, and everyone just lit him up collectively, including myself.
Well,
And I was
yeah,
just like, that's the worst thing I've ever heard. I was just like, what do you mean you have more priorities? I was like, if you were man enough to lay with her and create a kid, you got to be man enough to support the kid and be the dad.
exactly. Like if
And
you thought that that choice was where your stage of life is, then this is your consequence. Not
exactly,
consequence, but this is your responsibility now.
exactly.
So,
It uh,
yeah.
it did it did not go good. I was rather shocked at how that live turned out.
Yeah.
I was
What's
like,
sad,
Dad,
there's a lot of guys out there that's where their heads are at now. It's like, oh
that's true.
well, it's about number one. It's about, Beast Man, I'm trying to make myself something big. And it's like, no, you have these opportunities to, and that's why mine's called Legacy Dad. Like you have an opportunity to leave a legacy.
Exactly.
Like after you die, and mine's a little more prominent because obviously I'm terminal, but um after you die, what do you want your son or daughter or family to carry on and instill as like core values or like just lessons and things like that. So,
Yeah, exactly. So getting to the legacy dad, give us some of your background so that the listeners and everybody can know you some more. Because
yeah,
you just said terminal, so they're all going to be like, "What do you mean?"
they're gonna be like, "Whoa, what's going on?" Yeah.
Yeah,
So I'm 26 years old. I have a two and a half. I've been saying 2.5 for about 6 months now.
I
Um,
get that.
he turns 3 in November. He'll be 3. His name is Rex. Um,
That's a sick name.
Thank you. It's actually after my wife's grandfather, so his name is Rex Cree, and my name's Keaton Cree. The tradition in our family is that we pass down the Cree middle name because my great grandfather was Richard Eldon Cree, and that was his last name. And it actually
Y'all just
originates.
have cool names.
Thank you. It originates from the Cree Indian tribe.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
I
Native
just have
American.
three super white first names for my entire name. It's
That's
William
awesome.
Edward Shannon.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I'm telling you, three solid super white first names.
Well, hey, there you go. Yeah. I've got let's see.
That's why I go
Keaton.
by West.
Yeah, Keaton, I don't know what that is considered. That's a little different. Most people have never heard
Yeah,
that one. Um and then Cree is just that's an Indian tribe.
yeah,
Um and then Blocker is my last name. My birth given name is actually McElmurray. I was adopted. And so originally it was Irish, like Irish
yeah.
Scottish, and now Blocker is German, and so I have like Indian. I think Keaton is like more Polish-ish kind of, but like Polish, Indian, German. So I'm like
Yeah.
the dark guy smashed in between the two white names, which is really funny because like I get super tan. Like I'm not like white. I'm always like an olive, and so it's just really funny to me because all my siblings, I call them all my siblings, my like brother and sister in law. We have a text group, my wife and my brother in law and sister in law. Two out of her five, uh, like of their total siblings, talk to each other regularly, and so she and them and I talk all the time, and they're like,
Yeah.
you're not Indian, whatever, blah 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 blah," and I'm like, okay. We went to Louisiana like a week ago and
Yeah.
we were out in the sun for one singular full day. And
I'd be
then
burnt to a crisp.
my wife was burnt to a crisp because she is very German and very white. And my brother-in-law and my sister-in-law both would have been very red if they went. And we got back to the Airbnb, and my wife took a photo of me and was like, "Hey, if anybody needs proof that Keaton's Indian, he didn't put any sunscreen all day long. All like this is what he looks like," and it was like I looked like I came from Mexico yesterday. Like it was dark.
My it's infuriating because my dad gets so tan,
Oh, interesting.
and we can't figure it out because our family's straight from Ireland, and then
Yeah.
before that, Scandinavia, the whole nine, all the way back.
Well, there were some
And
Scandinavians that got a little dark though, right?
yeah, kind of. I've only traced one side of the family. I haven't traced the other,
Mm.
but that man will get dark, and like to the point where if he wears shorts all summer, and then say he wears some like jorts that are just a little shorter than the ones he regularly wears, he'll sit there and the
You
back
can
of his
see
legs are
that
super
line.
white. The
Yeah.
line, it's like he has flashers on the back of his knees. Or worse, he like he's a typical boomer dad, so like he wears his white socks way up there.
You mean like the farmer's tan that
Yeah.
stops where the sleeves stop?
Oh yeah, it's pretty bad. But God forbid he wears like short ankle socks for whatever reason. I've only seen it like twice in my life, but it's just a huge strip of just solid white on his leg. It's terrible and it's aggravating because I've never seen a man put sunscreen on, but if I don't put sunscreen on, I'm screwed.
You're like, that's it. I'm gonna be in bed.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then worse, my kids are like, my kids want to be held, and I pick them up, and it's just agony. But
Yeah.
then like my kid's mom gets really excited because she knows my whole back's gonna peel, and she's just waiting like a hawk.
Yeah. Well, so let me kind of continue before I
Yeah.
forget where I was at. So I'm 26. I have a two and a half, almost 3 year old. I'm married to a she's a public affairs specialist in the military. So we're not actually from Mississippi, but that's where we live right now. We're actually from Oregon. I'm from a small town in Oregon called Roseburg, which is southern Oregon, and she's from about an hour and a half where I was grew up. And so when we go back home to visit, we say go back home. This is home, but when we go back home to visit, we spend 4 days with her family, 4 days with my family, and it's an hour and a half drive in between, and then we get everybody in one trip and we're good. Um, so we ended up we met in Bible college and we moved back to Oregon together because we were in Idaho when we went to college over in Boise. And then we
Okay.
got married in 2019. So we've been married for 6 years now. And we had my son, and he has a heart condition. So I also have a heart condition. I have a rare heart condition called hypoplastic left heart syndrome. And that's where the left side of your heart is completely dead and the right side does everything and has been reconstructed. So I've had 3 open heart surgeries, um, and 7 other ancillary surgeries to like make sure everything's running right. A lot of the other surgeries were like cath, which is like through like a vein in your leg.
Yeah.
Um, but 3 of them were open heart. My first open heart surgery was at 1 day old.
Damn.
So yeah, so I've been in and out of hospitals my entire life, and then turned 24, 23 and a half, 24. Started getting sick, and so I went to the doctor and was like, "Hey, I have this cough that won't go away. I have sweating at night for some reason. I lost 40 pounds in 2 months. I don't know how that happened. I didn't stop eating." And then I was like, and I get fevers where I feel like I'm gonna pass out. And they were like, "Oh, well, we've been having some weird sickness go around, blah blah blah." It was at the end of COVID, so everybody was like, "Whatever, blah blah blah," different weird things. And so cancer was like the last thing on everyone, even the doctors' minds. So like it was never even in my head. And then um like 4 months went by. My son was born, and then 2 months after my son was born, I got really sick. Like I was driving home one day and I looked at my wife and I said, "I need to pull over right now. I'm like I have a fever of like 104, I'm pretty sure, and I feel like I'm gonna pass out." We pulled over and we found a thermometer at like the Dollar General or whatever, and I was at 104.6.
Shit.
Yeah, and I was like, "We need to go to the urgent care like right now." So we went,
Yeah.
and they sent me to the hospital, and the hospital did a ultrasound of a spot that had gotten swollen on my leg. And I was like, "I don't know what that is." They were like, "Well, it's probably just an infection in your lymphatic system." And I was like, "Great, whatever." They were like, "Here's some really strong antibiotics." Well, nothing took it out. It would never went down. The swelling never went down. And so they said, "Okay, that's been there long enough. Let's take a biopsy of it." So they went in with a really long needle and took a sample out of it, and it came back positive for cancer. And so I ended up with Hodgkin's lymphoma. So there's 2 types of lymphoma, and well, there's more than two, but there's 2 types of Hodgkin's. There's non-Hodgkin's, and then there's Hodgkin's. Non-Hodgkin's is very slow-moving, non-aggressive cancer that you can live almost your entire life with. Hodgkin's lymphoma is the aggressive one, especially classical Hodgkin's, which is what I have. It's the most aggressive type in the Hodgkin's family, and it is very hard to treat with normal treatments. And then to add complexity to that, I have a heart condition, so I haven't had
Right.
been able to do regular chemo. So I've been flying between Mississippi and Texas for the last 2.5 years, working with MD Anderson as a case study, not as a patient, as a case study, because I am patient record number one of this heart condition and this cancer.
Right. And how's your treatments and everything going so far with being are they like trying experimental treatments and things like that? Is that as being the case study?
Yeah, kind of. So basically, we started off experimental and very like little kid gloves. Like, how can we do this very gently and treat you very gently and be nice and all that? And keep your heart in good standing because we don't want to kill your heart because then what's the point in trying to cure the cancer if we're just going to kill you anyways? And I'm like, well, look where that ended us. But they started with like a very light chemo and then it didn't respond well, so they put me through normal chemo at the slowest rate possible. So my infusions, so normal chemo, the longest one's like 4 hours. I was there at the infusion center every week for I think 8 months, and I was there for like 8 hours a day.
Damn.
I was sitting there hooked up for 8 straight hours once a
That
week.
had to be really, really, really boring.
Yeah, it was. My in-laws actually moved out here and bought a house, and so my father-in-law and I got really close
Right.
because he's a retired paramedic, and so he's just gone to the hospital with me almost every time I go, so that my wife can stay back for my son. Because one of my biggest like things during this journey was I don't want my medical life to be affecting his
Right.
routines and his daily stuff
Yeah,
as
you don't
much
want
as
it to be a
possible.
staple.
Yeah, I don't want it to be like that's how I remember dad. Like, yeah, he's
Exactly.
gonna remember dad went to the hospital in the middle of the night a few times, but he's not gonna remember like, oh, we ended up having to stay at the ER for 7 hours and like I didn't have anything to do except for play with a tablet or read or color or whatever, like, in a hospital room. Because that's what my childhood was. And I, not necessarily that much of it, but because of my surgeries and stuff, I was in the hospital a lot. And so I didn't want that to be a big prevalent part of his life. So I'm trying to minimize that as much as I can. So my wife stays home with him, and my father-in-law usually takes me to the hospital. So he sat with me 8 hours every week for, and we'd have family come through and visit. And anytime somebody comes to visit, I treat it like like show and tell. I'm like, you want to go to chemo with me? And they're like, what? And I'm like, yeah, let's go. Like, yeah. They're like, huh? And I'm like, yeah, no, it'll be great, really fun. And they're like, what? And I'm like, yeah,
Yeah,
I just
bring cards. We'll play some cards.
yeah. Well, I end up with so I end up having to get pre-medicated because I'm allergic to the chemo.
Yeah, fuck.
Yeah. So I have to get Benadryl. I have to get what's called Dilaudid, which
Mm,
is
pain
10
medicine.
times stronger than morphine.
Yeah.
And that's in the half milligram dose. I get 4 milligrams. Yeah.
I got allotted one time for my back,
It knocks you
and
out,
I
doesn't it?
yeah, yeah,
Zombie mode. Yeah.
very, very quick.
Yeah. So after the normal chemotherapy, I was bald, didn't have any facial hair, nothing, like everything fell out. Because that's the one with the classic. If anybody's ever heard of anything with cancer, they have always heard of the Red Devil medication, which is the one that makes you go bald. And that's what people attribute to cancer is going bald and all that stuff. And so I went through that. I did do that. Yes, I do have a beard now again, but yeah, I went through that, and I am still on chemo, but it's a different type of chemo. Um, but so we did the normal chemo, and then the cancer went away, and so we were like, oh, okay. And so we took a deep breath, and that was a year. It took a year because it was February the next year after I got diagnosed that we got to ring the bell and they thought I was done. And then 45 days later, I went in for a scan because that's when the first scheduled scan was. And it had come back with a vengeance. And it had come back in a different spot than where it was before. And so it kind of was like, okay, um, we're gonna do this again. And they said we're kind of running out of options because you can only have so much of that normal chemo in your entire lifespan. Otherwise, the long term effects are like just terrible. And so we were like, okay, well, and then I went to MD Anderson again, and they said, okay, let's do this. Let's do radiation treatment, but you have to move here to do it. So I went to Texas temporarily for a little over a month, and I did 30 straight days, minus Thanksgiving, of radiation treatment. And I say 30 straight. There were Saturdays and Sundays in there, but it was Monday through Friday for 30 days. Um, and I did 30 actual days on the table. So I have my mask. Uh, it's in the garage. I keep it out there because it's creepy looking. It's just a bunch of
Yeah.
holes. But what it is, it's like this like stretchy plastic sheet that they heat up, and then they lay you down on the table, and then they say nothing. And these two just big guys with like really big muscles come in, and you're like, "What's up, guys?" And they're like, "Hey," and they're like friendly enough, and they start talking to you to distract you, and then they're like, "All right, take a deep breath for me and hold it real quick," and you go, "Okay," and you're like shirtless, and and then they go and just like push this sheet onto your face, and you're like, oh, what? And it pushes you down to the table, and then they literally like go like this, and they push their hand around your neck and form the thing so that like it holds your head in one place so you can't move, because their scanner machine is a 360 targeted machine, so they can like miss certain organs in your body. So we did that, and then the cancer went away again. So I went into remission twice, and I think this one lasted a little longer, like 60 days or something like that. It was like 2 months that I felt good. That's when we did remodel stuff. Because I was like, great, let's remodel the house. Let's do something. I'm ready for something fresh to happen.
Yeah, new change.
New something. And so I changed my look. We changed the kitchen in our house, and we built a home office. And then it came back. And this time it's up here near my heart. And they can't go do surgery to take it out. They can't do radiation because it's too close. And they can't give me more medication of the certain one that got it to go away the first time, because you can only have a certain amount of it. And I've had the maximum. So we've been kind of looking for something. And so far, this one that we're on is considered what's called palliative care. So, and for people that don't know, palliative is a word that they use to replace end of life. Um, so it's kind of like a living hospice kind of a thing, where I kind of live a normal life except for chemo weeks. I have an at-home nurse that comes in and checks on me once a week, and then I used to have a physical therapist that was coming in every once in a while, but I've been able to walk more on my own with a cane, so that helps, and I can go on walks myself. So my physical therapist stopped re-upping my visits. But so that's the stage of life we're in now, where we've kind of accepted that this is our reality. We're still, hoping for a miracle of some sort, but we're preparing for what's in front of us just in case. So, like, I've done my will, I've done my end of life planning, I've done, like, this is what I want. I want to be cremated. I don't want my wife and son to carry me around everywhere. This is where I'd like to be buried. Which, not something you really usually start to think about till you're in your 60s. But
No,
hey,
I get that that part of it a little bit. Not
yeah,
obviously not all the way. Let me
yeah.
clarify, because someone's gonna be like, "No, the fuck you don't."
You don't understand.
Obviously,
Yeah.
I've had to do my will and take care of all those things just because of my job,
Hmm.
uh, and what I work with, where I work with. And so I had when we start my job, we do life insurance policies, the whole nine. Uh, and then a lot of times they'll be like, "Have you done your will yet?" I'm like, "No." They're like, "You should." It's like, "Oh, cool."
Okay. Well, it's a good thing to have done. And I think that it's kind of a lost thing to people that you should have it done younger than you think.
Yeah, you should. You
Well,
never know
and
what could happen, especially when you have kids.
oh yeah, as soon as you have a kid, you should be going down and figuring out how to start the life insurance process. You should start figuring out the will process. You should start,
Yeah,
because your life insurance actually is cheaper if you start younger.
yeah. I started
And
mine
you
in
get
19.
more, yeah, you get more life insurance for cheaper, for longer, if you start out younger because they track your whole life and
Right.
health. So, because it's all health based. So they're like, oh, you're not even 20s? Psh, shoot, it's
Yeah.
like $7 a month.
My life insurance policy got so much cheaper whenever I quit smoking cigarettes.
Oh, yeah.
It got so much cheaper. People don't realize that. They check all those things.
Yeah,
All of
they
them.
do. Yeah. Yeah. And,
But now it's just like a yearly checkup. But whenever I was smoking, it was like twice a year,
mhm.
and it was a whole bunch.
Yeah. Well, congrats to you for not smoking anymore.
Yeah, I can't claim total victory because I still vape, but
Well, hey, that's better
yeah,
than smoking.
that's the way I feel. I feel a lot better.
Yeah.
But I was smoking like 2.5 packs a day,
Yikes. Yeah, that's.
and like vaping or not. Well, towards the end, I was vaping and smoking, but at one
Mhm.
point, work was just I was so stressed. I was vaping, dipping, and smoking,
Oh, yeah.
and that's when I was just like, okay, I have a problem.
You're like,
So
maybe I just need nicotine.
yeah, yeah. I was like, I gotta figure something out. So I just immediately quit dipping because it was just one of those like stupid things I was doing
hmm
in between the vaping and smoking, which is really just stupid and gross. And then my I got a new manager, and the day I got a new manager, who's my buddy, and he walked up. I was in the smoking area. He was just like, "What's up, man?" I look over. I was like, "Is it your first day?" And I just opened a fresh pack and lit the cigarette. And I was like, "Is it your first day?" He said, "Yep." And I put the cigarette out and I gave the pack of cigarettes away, and I didn't touch one since.
Wow.
Just because I had a new manager, so work was going to be 1,000 times better.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you like go through a period of like just wanting to rip everybody's head off for a little while? Good. That's good.
Nope,
So you don't have
nope.
like
Just
nicotine rage then. That's good.
no, no. I just had stress, and it was terrible. It was manager induced stress
Yeah.
because I talked to the old manager once. He's like, "How do you like it?" I was just like, "You leaving was good for my health." I walked off.
Well, there you go. Yeah. You're like it's a compliment. Thank you.
Yeah. So
uh,
um with with everything, so right now you're at a point where they don't say hospice anymore. I can't pronounce the word you just said because it already left my
palliative.
mind. Palliative. That.
Yes.
So uh, at this point, it's just going through life, and then you're still going down to Texas to MD, and they're working on trying to find something. But at this point, you're just kind of on hold.
Yeah, so at this point, I'm on what they call a maintenance chemo. So, our goal with the chemo that I'm on is to stall the growth. So, they said if we can stop it from growing and taking over in different areas, then hopefully we can extend your life expectancy. Realistically, 2.5 to 5 years is what they said. And they said it could be shorter than that, but that's like their best case scenario range. They said optimistically, a treatment works randomly out of nowhere. And then they said 5 to 10 years. But they said that that's like the 1% chance. So my like more of like a 50 to 60% chance is like the 2.5 to 5 years. And so that's kind of what we've just prepared for is okay, 2.5 to 5 years. They said that at the beginning of this last summer. So now I'm looking, by Christmas it'll be two, would be the shortest. So the way I'm looking at it is like, okay, I have two more summers left, two more birthdays, two more, Christmases at least with my son. My big goal is I'd like to make it to 30, which sounds crazy, but
Not to me.
like weird, like that's a goal. But like for me, it's kind of helpful to have a goal because it like helps me
Yeah,
try to still work on my body and like keep myself as healthy as I can.
absolutely.
So like I found this really great company called Conqueror Challenge, and you sign up for it, and you can go. And I have a like a therapy spa that I swim in, and that's the only way I can really exercise. That or like a bike that I can ride slowly, like an exercise bike. So sometimes I'll do that for a little bit, and I can put that activity into their app, and they calculate it into a distance, and I've completed like two 5Ks.
Damn.
Yeah.
I'm
So,
healthy and I can't do a 5K.
well, it took me 75 days to complete the 5K, but like I did it. You know what I mean? Like it was like a
Yeah.
and then because of the way the company does their thing, they send you a medal when you're done. So you get like a race number, and then you get a medal. And so I have two medals. I'm almost done with my third, and they're all themed. So like the one I'm working on right now is the West Coast Trail, and so they do the distance of the West Coast Trail, and then when I finish it, they'll send me a medal that says West Coast Trail finished. And then the last one I did was the Washington D.C. Historical March Trail, and the first one that I did was the Middle Eastern trek that they did that followed like the it was called the Jesus Trail, so they followed like where they think that he would have walked like all the way through the Middle East over in like Jerusalem and Jordan and all of those places.
So like, oh, it's called the Middle East Trail. So it's like four over there.
Yeah.
In my head, when you said that, I was just like, but he didn't walk in America,
Yeah,
and it
no, it
was
was yeah. It's Middle East like Jerusalem,
yeah,
Gaza, all those areas.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, I've just been up for 23 hours or something like that. That's why
Man, that's rough.
it's night shift.
Yeah.
So
Ugh.
Tuesdays and Thursdays are the days where both my littles are in school.
Okay.
So Tuesdays and Thursdays are the days that I try to record, and it's been a lot trying to schedule everybody because I put out on two different dad groups. Hey, if you want to tell your story or if you feel like your story will help other dads, send me a message and we'll see about scheduling an episode. And I had 116 dads in 24 hours asked to be on the show.
Wow. That's awesome.
And I
You'll
was
have to
like,
pass me some contact
fuck.
info to some guys and be like, "Hey, reach out to this guy." Also, because I would love to have as many people as I can. I just want
Oh
to
yeah.
hear like dad perspectives because it's helpful. Like one thing that we're missing in America is like male support with males
Yeah.
because we think that we have to do it all on our own.
Well, that's why my podcast really steered a different direction. So I
Hmm.
keep talking to the computer, but the camera's up here. It's really screwing with me. That's why I had the two camera thing going, but I couldn't figure it out. Uh, that's why my podcast really took a turn, like direction wise, because originally, if you watch the first like I think 7 or 8, 10, whatever episodes, it was just me talking in my car about topics and like reading stories guys would send me. And I was just like, you know what, this isn't sustainable because how long can I just talk in my car?
Yeah,
And I was just like, you know what? I was just like, let's. And I had all these dads sending me their stories, wanted me to read them and break them down, give advice and things like that. And I was just like, why don't I just have these dads come on the show?
yeah,
I was like, let's get their stories out there. And I did the one with Chris, and then now with you, and I have one that wants to record at like 10 o'clock at night because of his shift schedule
yeah.
tonight, and then I have two on Thursday that want to record. I'm just like, I was like, so I have episodes for, I could have an episode every single day for I don't know how long if I was off that long,
Well, probably
but
like a month at least.
yeah, yeah, it's a whole lot. So that's why like when I was messaging you, I was like sitting here with my tablet and I'm like, okay, schedule, calendar, figure it out because I have so much.
There's
I
so
don't
many
know how to
people.
work. Yeah, so it's been a whole thing.
Yeah.
But
Well, and it's crazy how if you do it honestly and raw, like the doors that open, it's kind of
yeah,
crazy. Like I've noticed ever since I was on my buddy's podcast at the studio. This is you will be my fourth podcast episode that I'll have been on. Yeah. And what is that?
I
Hold
have
on a
no
minute.
idea, but that was awesome.
Oh,
Did
I'm
it do it
not
for you?
cool. No, I'm not cool.
Oh, it's not doing it again. It was just a one-time thing.
That was weird.
What?
We'll have to look that up and figure out what that was. That's like a highlight right there, a highlight reel for Instagram.
Yeah.
But yeah, no,
I
it's crazy how like if you're just honest, like yesterday it felt dumb, but I recorded a video of myself crying, which I don't know if you saw my video yesterday or not, but I recorded a video of myself crying yesterday because I was on the ground playing with my son, and he's 2.5. I'm on my knees on a carpet trying to play with magnet tiles with him because he wants me to build. He comes up to me, he's like, "Daddy, will you build with me?" And I'm like, "Yeah, let's build." And I think that's such a fun activity to do with him.
oh yeah.
And so we're sitting there building, and I looked at him, and my wife's sitting in the chair in the corner, and I was like, "All right, buddy, Daddy has to get off the floor. Mommy can keep building with you, but Daddy's got to stop. I'm sorry. It's Daddy's starting to hurt. I'm fighting my cancer dragon, is what we say." And he looked at me and he said, "Daddy, don't be sorry. Be careful." And it was like waterworks. It just like a switch got flipped. And
Yeah.
I looked at my wife and I was like, "I'm gonna need a few minutes." And I just went back to our bedroom. And I just
Yeah.
was like, I was a wreck. And in that moment, I realized this situation where my life has gotten flipped upside down, I get stressed out about it because I know it's affected me so much. But he's had to grow up. And that to me was kind of devastating a little bit because I didn't want him to miss some of the innocence of his childhood just because dad's sick. So that was a little rough, but like I use TikTok and Instagram and the podcast as an outlet more for me at least. I use it as an outlet, and I think it's more helpful that way for me. Just because I get on there, and I also don't see a lot of guys. I mean, you're one of the few that I found where you're like, "Hey, this is how it really is." Like, by the way, in
Yeah.
case anybody was wondering, like, and like one of my videos early on was like, "Guys, I have cancer, and I just changed a poopy diaper. You want to talk about how much that sucks?"
Yeah. No kidding.
Like when you have to like look away to not throw up while trying to change your son's diaper, but also teach him that it's okay and that you're trying to work on potty training and all that kind of stuff. I was like, that
Yeah.
is a hard thing to do. And so I've just literally, anytime I make a video, I'm like, all right, if this helps one person, then I've done what I wanted to do with this video.
That's my motto.
As long as I can help one person,
Well, I
then
think
I've done what I've set out to do.
it's important. You're doing the podcast or you're doing your videos and everything because you want to leave something behind for your son.
Yeah.
And I think that is just the number one reason for you to keep it as raw and as real as possible for you.
Yeah, well, and part of it is too is like I want him to be able to. I told my wife, I said, there's gonna be some language, some things that I write down, some feelings that I express that he will not be ready for till he's like 17.
Right.
And so I'm like, when he's ready, it's out there. It's on the internet. There's a podcast that I did. He'll be
Yeah.
able to listen and go, "Wow, so that's how my dad felt about me." Like he said it to me and I know he loved me, but like these were the things that he did that
Right.
I can go back and go, "Look, here's proof." Like he left me proof. And
That
that's
reminds me of it's another podcast that I listen to, and what they do is they have emails made for their kids, and it's just an email with a like cloud with it,
Hmm.
and they'll email that account for their kid, and they'll send pictures, and they'll be like, this is what we did today, and they'll talk about it, and they'll send it, and by the time their kids are grown and they're gone, they'll have that account for their kids, and it'll just be like a storybook for their kids, all in an email account for them.
Yeah, I write in a leather journal, so I have a I know how to do calligraphy. It's my little weird flex.
Like,
Um,
that is a flex because I can't fucking do it at all. I've
so
tried writing with a
I
fountain pen, and I just feel ridiculous. I
and
just
that's
keep
what I do.
scratching the end.
You're like, "Doo, doo," there's just blotches
Yeah,
everywhere. Yeah, that's
everywhere.
how it started out for me. Like I just got it because I thought it was a cool looking pen, and then I was like, I need to learn how to use this right.
Yeah, you
And
have to.
so
It's all fucking. You got to hold it a certain
it's like a
way, and
whole, yeah, it's like a dance
yeah,
with your hand. Yeah. So I
like,
write it in like really, really easy to read calligraphy. It's very simple calligraphy, but I write in I try to write in calligraphy in that. At least once a week, I write to him and I just say, hey, this is what I thought you did that was awesome this week. This is how you grew, and this is what it made me feel. And I want you to know that I fought till the end. And I want you to know that I fought for you. And that if it wasn't for him and my wife, my willpower to be alive would have been gone a year ago, a year and a half ago. I'd have told the doctors, all right, well, I guess nothing's working, so let's just stop. Um, but because of them and my faith, uh, I I've found a way, and I never even found it. It just kind of came out because of that. And it felt more of a responsibility at first, and now the way I look at it, I'm probably one of the only people that will tell you that cancer is a blessing. But it's made me completely shift the way that I look at things. So, like, every week on Sundays, usually every Sunday, both my wife's phone and we put them away. We're not on them all day. We call them no cell phone Sundays. And we just spend an entire day in the weekend with my son. We play magnet tiles. We do that. We do a movie night once a week. We do, we're spending intentional time with our kid. And it works around my wife's schedule and it works around the stuff that I'm doing. And, we still have lives. It just, we make sure we carve out time for that because that to us is more important than like say, oh hey, like I need to play some video games for a couple hours or whatever. Like I actually kind of stopped playing video games about a year ago, and I sold my Xbox and like just kind of got rid of stuff because I was like I didn't want to see him see that take over me, if that makes any sense. Because for me, I noticed when I was having a rough day, it was easy to just get lost in a video game. And so that's what I would do. And um, it's funny because now I just get high. But no, because I'm dying and I have cancer, so I have a medical license and I can get weed. But
hell yeah,
I
as
drink
you should.
I drink seltzers, so they have it like in mixed into the seltzer, and that works really well for me.
I've
It's not
seen those.
necessarily even the high. It's more of like the I'm in pain every single day, and so anything that would cut out the pain and not make me a grumpy asshole is the better option.
But yeah,
And so that's what THC does as opposed to Dilaudid.
yeah,
Because
yeah. Dilaudid's not very good for anybody long term.
no, there was a stretch of for at least a good 6 months where every single day I was on a 50 milligram fentanyl patch. I would take 4 milligrams of Dilaudid every 4 hours, mixed with oxycodone and a muscle relaxer, like every single day. And it was like probably 4 months, I would say, is how long I did that. At
That wasn't a
least
good 4 months,
solid.
was it?
I barely remember like two of them.
Yeah.
Like at least. two is what I can remember. And there were days where my wife was like, there was no conversation. You got up, you came out to the couch, you fell asleep on the couch. You got up from the couch, you went back to bed around bedtime, you fell asleep before I got in bed. Like, she was like, I had a roommate. She's like, you weren't here. And so once we started doing the THC stuff, we were like, oh, hey, I feel like a person again. I can be dad. I can be, I can do these things. And so I don't drive my son. I can drive by myself, but I don't drive him. That's just too much a risk for us. Even if I didn't have anything that day, I just don't want there to ever be a question of whether or not it was my ability to save him or not if there was an accident. Um, so we have family that either lives here or stays here to help us. So like my mom comes out for a few months at a time, and my in-laws will go back to Oregon and clean some stuff up with their property and like go live in Oregon for a little while, and they'll swap. And so we always have family constantly out here. So which is one of the things that we're trying to work on with our GoFundMe is getting a trailer put on the side of the house because we have a guest bedroom, but it's a small one, and it's nice when you have somebody in the house, but it's also like hard too on a marriage when you're constantly living with somebody else.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
So
especially in your own space where there's no separation.
yeah, and it's
Because
not
we
that
all
we
know
don't.
when you live with somebody else, it doesn't matter if the door's shut, they can hear it.
They're here. Yeah, and it's
Yeah, they're
it's
there.
not that we don't appreciate the help or we don't appreciate the people being here. It's just that we don't want to cause those little weird awkward things that make it that way. But so
Yeah.
that's kind of my dream. I mean, I would love to do another episode with you at some point and just kind of go
Yeah, I
over
would
some
love to.
specific topics if you'd like. But the fam's gonna get home pretty soon here, so I
Yeah, I
am gonna
think
be cut pretty short on time. So
yeah, I think that's a really good idea because I think a lot, you hear a lot of dads say that they would die for their kids, but not a lot of them say that they'll live for their kids. And in your case, you're
I'm
living literally as much as you can to be the best dad and
right
be
now.
there for your kids. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
and
I
it's
would
only
love to have
because
you on more.
it's hard because it's right now and it's in front of my face. And that's what made me so like aggressively swing that way, and I think it would be helpful for people to hear it that way. So,
I think they need to.
yeah, I think some people do. So, well, thank you for talking to me and just chatting a little bit, and I guess
Yeah,
getting
thank you.
acquainted. We can work on getting something else scheduled when I get back from my farewell trip back to
Yeah.
our home
Yeah.
state.
By then I'll have the camera thing figured out
There we go.
so I can look at you and not just be looking down at a computer,
Yeah.
try to figure that out.
Well, that'll be
But
perfect. Can I
yeah,
do my
man,
little blurb real quick before we
go for it.
go
Heck yeah.
out? All right. Um, this is for Rex. I love you, buddy, and all of the stuff that I'm doing right now. I know it seems weird to you because you're just a little guy, but it's all for you for later. So I love you. So, well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you, man.
Yeah.
All right, so guys, that is Keaton with Legacy Dad. We're going to have more episodes, but thank you guys for listening to the Modern Fatherhood podcast. Follow us on all the social medias. Follow him on his. I'll have his stuff down in the description, and we'll catch you guys in the next one.
Alrighty. Thank you. See you later.